Pleasant good afternoon, friends. Rob Hipp here from the SHN Sports Broadcast Studio. I'm with my good friend today, man. It's a podcast here today, but David Haggstrom has been a good friend of mine for so many years, and he reached out to me here a while back and said, I've been wanting to spread the message of my weight loss journey. And at SHN, we're really focusing not just on sports, but health and fitness as well. Carl's going to be heading up a lot of that with the SHN nutrition program that we're going to be launching. But, man, David, good to have you, man.
Good to be here, bro.
Yeah, it's been a while. You were at my house. I was joking with you earlier, and I said, probably the last time you were here at my house, we were tearing up the deck back there.
That was fun.
I think that was, about, 8 to 10 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
And since then, you've been married and a lot of good things going on in your life, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So talk a little bit about yourself, David. How old are you, man?
I just turned 33.
33. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's
Your wife's outside too. She's looking. She can come around. so 33 years old, David. You've got a lot of great things going for you. I've always known you because you got such a good heart, man. You love others, and that's what you've always wanted to be there for others and take care of other people. So, kind of talk a little bit about your journey growing up, David.
I got in church when I was about 3 years old. Grew up in a Christian home. Eventually, my dad became a pastor, so I grew up in a pastor's home, helping my parents with their church. And been big pretty much my whole life growing up. I've done a bunch of random weight loss programs, but they've all obviously seemed to fail because I would gain the weight back and more, and to the point that I ended up becoming over 500 pounds.
So at one point you were at 500 pounds, man.
Yeah.
Talk about that, man. How were you feeling to get that point? I know that's not where you wanted to be, buddy.
Yeah, no, it was. I felt it was extremely terrible, and I felt terrible, even though I kept eating the junk food and stuff. And I was just at that point, or before that, had the cancer and stuff. I got really, really depressed and stuff, and had gained over 160 pounds in less than a year, just from eating junk food. And that's when I had hit over 500 pounds. And within 1 month, I had my 3 doctors telling me that I was going to end up getting a heart attack and getting liver disease before I was 35, and I was 31 at the time.
Well, David, and you talk about how you gained that weight, man, but it wasn't like you were just sitting around because you're active, right? You're always doing stuff, man.
Yeah, I was always just playing basketball, football, working in a welding shop, up on my feet 12, 15 hours a day, 6 days a week. So it wasn't like I was just sitting around watching TV all day.
Well, as a young man, and you just mentioned earlier, and I know that it's a scary situation to be in. I don't know firsthand, but you talk about getting that notice that you had cancer. What was that like, and what was that journey, man? Having to go through that and battle that.
It was a surprise, just because going in for hurting in the body and not really knowing why, and then once I eventually went to the doctor, it was just kind of he didn't beat around the bush. He just pulled the Band-Aid off and told me, you have cancer. And he's like, I want to do tests to make sure, but it's probably about 75% sure that you have cancer. Did the testing. He called me right before I walked in the church at about 7:15. I was like, hey, it's positive, you have cancer. He's like, let's go to the next step, see what we need to do about getting rid of it. And I was like, okay. Trying to walk into church with that on my mind, man, it was pretty hard.
And at a young age, how old were you when you went through that, David?
I was going on 3, so I was probably about 30 years old. I had just turned 30 when I had gotten cancer.
Man, that's tough, buddy. And I remember when you were, going through that, and I know that you were just reaching out, asking people, hey, keep me in your prayers. And now today, cancer-free.
Yeah, cancer-free for 3 years now. And it's been a rough road, but it got through it, especially with my wife being right beside me and stuff.
So your wife just stepped in a few minutes ago, Brittany, who's here in the studio. Hello, Brittany. Hello. Brittany's going on this journey with you too, on this weight loss journey. Talk about a little bit, if Brittany doesn't mind, how you guys kind of met, and now 3 years happily married, man.
Yes, 3 years happily married. It's kind of funny because it was more her reaching out to me than anything, and She sent me a friend request on Facebook, and then sent me a message. I'm like, who in the world is this girl? I have no idea who she was. We have a lot of friends in common. So after a couple days just sitting on there not answering the message, I was like, hey, why not? So we began to talk. about 3 or 4 months later, I finally got the courage to ask her out, and surprisingly, she said yes. I'm like, who can say no to this guy? But I mean,
I was surprised. Brittany, to be fair, I was surprised, but I'm just kidding. I love you, David.
I was surprised too. I'm like, man, girl's so beautiful, it's gonna say yes to me, and I was really surprised. But yeah, so we met up in Waco on the first date, and it was about the halfway point for us. And yeah, that was the start of what we call pulling a Waco, because it was pouring down rain. And the Waco road system is just terrible. Like a bunch of loop arounds and stuff. And so
don't be knocking Waco, dude. I'm a Baylor Bear fan.
Yeah, Baylor Bear is cool. But anyway, so yeah, so I asked her, so we'll go to the mall. She's like, yeah, sure, why not? So I took the exit, ended up being just a loop around. So I kind of pulled over. I was like, I need to be down there. Pouring down rain, mud everywhere. So I looked over, and was like, okay. So I popped in the 4-wheel drive, went down through the grass and ditch and stuff, and mud flinging. And she said that she was like thinking, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And so now to this day, we call that pulling a Waco, because on the first date, we went off road.
So have y'all pulled any more Wacos since that first date?
We pulled a couple. And then when we get stuck in traffic, she's like, Waco. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, David, as we continue to talk to David Haggstrom here with Obese To Gainz, David is here today on SHN Sports on our YouTube channel. He wanted to talk about and share his story just of his weight loss journey. A young man that was once at 500 pounds. And as we go back to that, David, talk about when your doctor told you, he said, hey, man, you've got to do something. Talk about when was the real wake-up call for you? What really woke you up to say, man, I gotta get this in control. I've got to do something. Talk about that, David.
My wife had convinced me to go do a heart wellness test. And she had been telling me for months I need to lose weight, get healthy, and I was just pretty much just shutting everybody off. And then I was really deep in depression. No one knew it. I was putting up a facade and laughing, joking all the time like I've always done. So then, so I finally said, okay, let's go do the heart wellness test. And a couple weeks later, we got the results, went in, and he told me, he was all like, it's the same doctor that's really blunt, and he said, hey, you're beyond morbid obese. And he's like, you need to do something about this weight. You're over 500 pounds. If you don't do something, you're going to have a heart attack and die, period. Straight as that. And like, you will die within the next 4 years. And then the next week, I went and saw my oncologist, and my urologist, and he said that he said the same thing without talking to my primary doctor. I was going to have a heart attack and die before I was 35. Yeah. And so then I went and saw my oncologist 2 weeks later, and she said I was going to get liver disease before I was 36.
So it wasn't just the heart; it was multiple things that you were facing.
Yeah, multiple liver, heart. I was pre-diabetic. I was within like half a point of becoming diabetic. Just my whole body was just shutting down. It was getting to the point I was getting hard to walk, and it was just terrible.
So you fast forward, your wife has been encouraging you. You guys have been together 3 years. When did this weight loss journey start for you?
It started in November 6th of 2017.
And when you started that, and I just want to reiterate, and I'm not doing it to call you out, but just when you started that, 500 pounds, is that right?
Yeah, 500 pounds. And I walked in, was considering doing gastric sleeve surgery. And the surgeon at the time said that it would be pretty much near to impossible to get down to 200 pounds naturally. I would need this surgery. And so, of course, the way that I am, you're not going to tell me that I can't do something. And if you do, I'm going to prove you wrong, period, straight. That's just the way I've always been.
I can speak to our viewers about that because back in the day, David we'd always shoot basketball around the neighborhood, the rec center, and David one day just said, I'm going to start shooting threes. And you could never stop David Haggstrom from a three-point line.
Yes.
He said, I'm going to do it, and he did it.
Yes, exactly. So I walked out of that doctor's office determined that I was going to do this without the surgery. And so I went over to the House of Gains I was previously a member at, but I never worked out in. I sat down with one of the trainers, Zach Blankney, and I told him, I was like, hey, this is what the doctor said. I want to lose the weight. They told me I couldn't do this naturally. And he's like, well, I'm calling their bluff because you can do this naturally. And he's like, it's going to be a long road. It's not going to be easy. It's like the weight did not come on overnight, and it's not going to come off overnight. He's like, but you got to be determined in your mind that you're going to do this, period.
And this was your trainer at the House of Gains, correct?
Yes, sir. The trainer at the House of Gains at the time, Zach. And then, so within the first session, he's like, hey, I want you to do this one exercise. I want you to do it. I was like, well, I'll give it a try. And one thing that kind of stuck with me, I've kind of used as a motto, that what he said was that if you try, you will fail. If you say I do, I will succeed. So I kind of use that as a motto going forward. At that point was that I'm not, when I say I want to try, that came out of my vocabulary, and I just begin to say, I kind of give me exercise. I will say, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'll go in there and give it my all, and then there was no excuses at that point.
And so you've been over at House of Gainz, and we can plug them, House of Gainz, Georgetown, Texas, because they're doing amazing work over there and helping you guys out. It's not just you, though. Brittany's over there. She's working out as well.
Yeah.
Did you just come from working out, Brittany?
Yes.
See, she is so committed, man. And it's good to have a good, committed lady, David.
God, yes. She's really committed. And I actually came from there before coming over here. Got like a 30-minute workout in. And then.
And how often do you go over to House of Gainz?
I'm over there about 6 days a week.
Man, that's awesome.
And then, full blown. We do anywhere from 1 to 2 hour workouts.
And if you're comfortable telling us, how much have you lost now during your journey so far, David?
I've lost probably about 180 pounds.
My goodness, man. And what does that feel like? Going from 500, dropping 180. And brother, you can tell big time. God, proud of you're just your motivation and what you've been doing. What does that feel like going from 500 to 180?
It's a world difference, man. I have so much more energy. Before I was having to rely on caffeine, sugar, and all that. But now it's just a whole world of difference, just going from such a heavy weight to going to being in the low 300s. And it's just a world of difference, man.
And you talked earlier, David, I know a sensitive subject, but you talked earlier about just going through depression and those things. How much has this weight loss journey so far helped you with that and overcoming that?
It's helped a lot. Don't get me wrong, everyone's always going to get depressed throughout life, and that's just the being part of life, but it depends on what you do when you get in that point of depression, how you come out of it. Before I started losing weight, I was massively into depression, and I turned to food as a comfort food. Now I've turned, when I do get on days that I'm depressed, I go from using food as my comfort food to going to the gym and giving it my all as a comfort, and when I do that, like I step on the scale the next morning, and I may have dropped 1 or 2 pounds, and to me that feels way better than going and stuffing my face with ice cream, hamburgers, whatever, and it's junk food, and end up gaining 5 pounds. So so I just mentally I had to learn to go from using food to going to the gym and using that as a coping mechanism of.
Well, what message would you have for others? The point of you being here today is just to share your story, to be an inspiration to those that are facing maybe some of the same challenges that you did. So for those that are out there watching on YouTube right now, and those that will come back and see this on the archived broadcast, with the camera there on you, what do you want to say to those people, David? How do you want to encourage them?
Well, man, of course, depression is a huge deal in the world, and sometimes it seems to be kind of a sensitive topic that people don't want to talk about. But even with people in the church, whether you go to church or you don't go to church, it's a big thing that people deal with, and I wish I would have just realized sooner that I was in depression, that I had my wife I can go talk to, I had my pastor, my parents, I had people around me in my life that I could talk to, and instead of talking to them, I was holding it in, and that's like one of the biggest no-nos is to hold it in, and. So now it's one of those I would probably have to say, find someone you need to talk to, whether it's your spouse, your brother, your best friend, your family members, or going to a gym and talking to your trainer if you don't have one, finding a trainer and using that as someone to talk to when you are depressed and you're down, just to get that advice that you.
Now I know, just being kind of in that situation to where you were, eating bad food. You talked about it, saying I was just eating comfort food and really bad food. I know that those urges are still there. How do you cope with that, and how do you overcome that to continue, to eat healthy and to try to do the right things and be healthy? How do you do that, David?
It's a hard daily struggle to not want to go and get that water burger or go to Mexican food and have some awesome Mexican food. But in the end, the result, when I do eat that stuff, it reminds me how I felt and where that food had gotten me to at that point. And so now when I do, every so often, I'm not saying I don't ever eat that stuff anymore, but every so often I do eat that food. But when I do, I enjoy it just a little bit, but it's one of those I know that whenever I do get down to my goal weight, that I will be able to not out of control, eat the food, but probably maybe once a week go and have a Whataburger.
So you can still, that's what I was going to ask, because a lot of folks will say, well, I don't want to just drop, that's going to be impossible. So you can still go out once in a while and have some of those things that you enjoyed in the past, correct?
Yes, that's correct. You can, and some people call it cheat meal. I don't like calling it a cheat meal because it's kind of puts a negative connotation to it. But I like to call it a refeed meal. So then that's to the point.
What would you call it?
A refeed meal. It's kind of like.
Wait, say it again. A what?
A reed feed.
Reed feed. What does that mean?
It pretty much is just a. What's where instead if you're eating healthy, you're eating your 6 meals a day, and your body gets to a point that it just kind of plateaus, or you need kind of a jump start. So that's where you go get your refeed. And
your refeed. Okay, I thought you said reed feed. Refeed. I got you, man.
So in turn, you kind of like jumpstart your body and start losing. And your body's like, oh wait, what's going on in this?
Yeah.
And it's not saying some people are like, I just want to have a Whataburger because my day's ruined. Your day's not ruined just because you want to have one Whataburger, cheeseburger. And on the next meal, go and start eating your healthy meal. The very next meal. It's not the day; it's the meal that you eat. So if for lunch you went and had a big old greasy cheeseburger from Whataburger, French fries, and a large drink of shake, well, the next meal, go back and eat your chicken and vegetables, or your chicken and rice, or whatever your meal prep is, because the next day, the next meal, that's where it starts at.
Well, as we talked to David Haggstrom here, Obese To Gainz here on SHN Sports as part of our health and fitness program that we're going to be launching soon. Carl Schoening's working on that. David Haggstrom, a man that has went from 500 pounds, he has lost over 180 pounds in the last 2 years, continuing to lose weight, working out almost every day, 6 days a week, eating healthy. His wife has been encouraging him. She is also doing the same thing. David, where do you want to be ideally as far as your weight goes, man? Where do you want to be at?
Right now I'm saying probably about 200 would be my ideally weight. Once I get down there, I'll be kind of playing with it, seeing how I look. Maybe I may go down to 180. And just kind of seeing where I look with the muscle mass I'll have at that point. Just kind of playing around with how bulk I want to go, like, and then from there, because you could be, because like the doctor said, hey, well, you need to be 180. Okay, that's fine, but if you could be 200 healthy and bulky, and still be just as healthy as if I'm 180 compared to 200. It just depends on your body mass compared to your muscle mass.
So I guess that's a good thing, because if you're trying to bulk up, you just need to lose the weight, convert to muscle, you're good to roll, right?
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing. And that's what my trainer now is. My first trainer, Zach, started doing.
As you talk about that, let's take a look at some of these videos. Brittany, thank you for sending this in to us. I mean, my goodness, man. I would not want to get in front of you, David. I wouldn't want to be on that rope, man. That's pretty intense. Talk about that right there. I'm going to put that on loop, but talk a little bit about that workout right there.
That's the battle ropes.
The battle ropes?
Yeah, it's really intense. Normally when I would do those, I'll do several workouts up to that point. I may go run 200 meters, and then I'll run up and grab the ropes and just start doing 3 different types of workouts with the rope. And then from there, I'll go grab the wall ball and do about 20 wall balls.
How heavy is that rope? Those ropes?
Those ropes are probably about, with both ropes, probably about 15, 20 pounds, give or take.
All right, let's keep looking through a couple of videos here. Talk about this. I know it's turned sideways. What is this right here? And how long ago was this, man? Because you've lost more weight than even that right there, man.
That's the V squat. Yeah, I've definitely dropped a lot of weight. That was probably close to the beginning of my weight loss journey when I first started. But yeah, that's the V squat. It's supposed to help with your glutes and your hamstrings and stuff.
And this is all your trainer there at House of Gains kind of going over all this, correct?
Yes, sir.
Teaching you these things and all that?
Yes, sir. He's he has started training. Now we have actually switched trainers since then. When we were with Linda. And she's been doing phenomenal work. We still deal with some of the weights and stuff, but now we kind of switched gears. Where we still do weights, but we've also been hitting the HIIT workouts as well, trying to get the joints all nice and mobile. And so between the two, man, it's just two different styles of training, and it's phenomenal, and it's what trade it for.
Let's keep looking here, David. Another video. What's going on right here? Walk me through this.
That's kind of working the hamstrings on the front of right by your knees, and your knees just kind of working to be able to yeah, just kind of working pretty much just your whole lower body.
Okay.
And your mobility to be able to pretty much just use your legs to be able to go down that way, that far, without falling over.
That's pretty cool. So it just kind of helps keep you up there so you won't fall, and then helps work on that. That's awesome, man. Let's go dig through some more here. I got a couple more videos.
He added more
Man,
weight.
dude, we're ready to climb Everest in this one. Talk about this, David.
When the mountain climbers, man, those are brutal. The first time my trainer Celinda had us do those, it's funny, we had dinner the day before with some of our friends, and they were talking about mountain climbers and how terrible they were, and it's like, yeah, we've never done them. The next morning we go to train with our trainer, and she's like, hey, guess what you're gonna do? Mountain climbers. And we're like, oh, great. Then for like 3 days, my legs were sore. And
how much weight is on that right there, David?
On that one,
Looks like quite a bit back there.
Right now I'm doing about 4 plates on each leg. So.
Man. And how much has your strength from day one to today? Talk a little bit about how much that has changed.
His training changed drastically from having had so much fat to turning a lot of that fat into muscle. It's just, and it's crazy because I was looking over my BMI over the last year and a half that I started, and it went down it's down to like a 46 BMI, which is really drastic change from where it was before. But like just being able to lift heavier weights, and I mean, just in that video right there shows that when I first started, I wouldn't have been able to do 4 plates on mountain climbers. And and that's like leg presses. When I go do leg presses in the same workout with that when I first started, I was doing probably about 450, 500 pounds, and now I'm doing up to about 900 to 1,000 pound leg presses.
That's unbelievable, Dave. That is awesome. Congratulations, man. And just proud of where you're going, where you're heading. Let's take a look at the last video here. Well, we're back. This is just a better view of that rope video, man. How often do you do this right here, David?
Probably at least once a week. I do the ropes just to kind of keep my the shoulders going. Normally like to use those before I go lifting heavy weight, just to kind of get my shoulders and upper body loosened up. And so I'm not going in and doing bench press or cable rolls or something like that or deadlifts without my upper body being warmed up.
Well, David, just again, proud of you, man. I've known you since, my goodness, it's 7, 8 years old, I guess. And of course, your brother Kenny, you and I and all have just been best friends our whole life, man. And I wanted to give you an opportunity again. I know that you'd reached out and kind of said, hey, I want to continue to share my story. And so we wanted to use this platform here with SHN today to reach just our subscriber base. And then those out there on YouTube that may just be hopping on this and saying, what's going on? They find this. So again, David Haggstrom here talking about his weight loss journey under the name Obese To Gainz. David, if folks want to get in touch with you, because I know that you've got a Facebook page going to where you really want to encourage others and talk to others, where can they go online? How can they find you, and how can they get in touch with you if they have any questions, man?
I got the Facebook page. I have my Facebook page at Obese To Gainz, along with Instagram. I have Obese To Gainz, same name. We also, I'm fixing to be starting up a YouTube channel, kind of just talking about everyday things, whether it's workout, suppression, eating, whatever it may be. And then also got email at obesetogainz17@gmail.com.
Awesome, man. Well, again, we'll post the link, of course, here on SHN on this video. You'll see it in the description a little bit later once we have it up. And of course, it's live right now, but we'll go back and edit that. But David, again, appreciate you being here. One final time for those of you that are hopping on, David talking about depression and just weight loss and his journey that he's going through. Just one final time, David, some advice that you may want to give to those out there that are struggling today.
Well, man, it's going to be a struggle, especially starting off, because it was for me. I mean, like I said earlier, all throughout the years, pretty much from 15 on now, so for the last 18 years, I have been trying to lose weight and do different weight loss deals, and pretty much failed at every one. And so when I started this whole weight loss journey, I had to look at it as it's not a weight loss, it's not a diet, it's a way of life. And when I got into that mindset that this is a way of life, that I want to eat like this for the rest of my life, and then once I get down to my goal weight, then I'll change it up a little bit and still have the foods that I can surely enjoy. But until then, I'm foregoing eating those unhealthy foods so I can get down to my goal weight, not only for myself, but also for my family. For my wife, and then so then also I can work better in my job and just my everyday life. So it's going to be a struggle to set that first foot forward. But once you do, it's going to be life-changing, rewarding, because you start seeing the results. Especially after the first 1 or 2 months, that's when you really start seeing the results, and that's when you start kind of getting excited. For me, I got excited after the first month or two. I saw the results and how fast the weight was falling off. So it's just pretty much the point is just like start the process, and then once the process don't stop after the first 2 weeks because you're hurting. Now, within the first month, you're going to be hurting like crazy, because I know I was. Man, it got to the point, man, I could hardly even walk. And then my legs were hurting, like my whole body was hurting like crazy. But
now, if there's folks out there, David, that they may not have a local gym, I mean, there's other opportunities. I'm sure that they can find resources online, things like that. And you talked about having a YouTube channel, so maybe you'll have some things on there to kind of maybe show people how to do some of these workouts, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. On my Instagram page, I'm constantly posting some of my workout videos, and I'm going to be start on between Instagram and YouTube, kind of talking about some of the workouts I do, how I do them, and then plus there's some trainers at the House of Gainz that do online training as well.
So they have online training.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. I didn't know they had that.
So it's one of those you can reach out to me, ask me, hey, which one do you recommend, and I'll be able to give you several names of trainers that are at the House of Gainz that do online training. Because you could also do, if say for instance you live in another state but you're wanting to train, but you just don't got to have a gym, they will be able to work with you and give you some workouts that you can do, whether at home or at the rec center. If you don't have a big enough gym, just kind of do some workouts that you can that helps you with your physical life.
Well, David, again, appreciate you being here, buddy. Appreciate you sharing a little bit about your journey, you know, what you've went through, where you're at, and now just on that road to just really being healthy. It's motivated me, man, to be honest, because I see what you're doing, and you know, I'm at around 3. The heaviest I got was actually 350 almost, and I realized I got to do something. And so just seeing your videos and what you do has inspired me to lose a little bit of weight. So I'm down to 230. I've still got a ways. I want to get to 185, man. So keep me motivated, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Keep everybody out there motivated. Definitely. Well, again, David Haggstrom here from Obese To Gainz. David, any final comments before we sign off today, buddy?
Just I guess keep at it. Don't give up. Like I always say, excuses don't get results. So quit making excuses to not start, and just go in there and start. I mean, whether it's going out there and cleaning out your whole fridge and start from scratch, getting healthy foods, and because you can still have the foods that you like, just with moderation and healthier quantities. Instead of eating 3 meals a day, eat 6 meals a day that are smaller.
David just said it. Excuses don't get results.
So quit making them, guys.
Quit making them. And we need to have that on a shirt, David.
Yes, I
would. I wonder if anybody has that patent, you know, trademarked. If not, maybe we can put Obese To Gainz. Excuses that don't make results. So,
yes.
David, appreciate you being here, buddy. For more information online about David Haggstrom and his weight loss journey, look him up. Obese To Gainz. That's OBESE. T0 and then the word Gainz, GAINZ. You can find it on Facebook, and we'll have the links here as well. Again, David, thank you, buddy. Good to see you, man. Good to have you here too, Brittany, who's watching on the opposite side. I know there may be a little bit of echo in here. We're still working on soundproofing the entire studio, so we will have that done in the next couple of weeks. But David, you're actually, besides Good Morning Georgetown, you're our first podcast here in the new studio, man.
Sweet.
So
awesome.
Appreciate you, David. Again, thanks everybody. For more information, Obese To Gainz, you can find it all out. David, continue to be there for him, pray for him and his wife as they continue this journey. Something great happening in their lives, and excited to see. And we're going to have you back on. You know, let's try to get you in here maybe every 3 to 6 months, man, during this journey. You know, maybe every 3 months, kind of talk about where you're at now and some things that are working. Maybe even some things that you may say, hey, this isn't working. Here's what I needed to change.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Definitely, man.
Awesome, brother. Well, again, David Haggstrom, Obese To Gainz. We'll sign off for now. This is Rob Hipp with SHN Sports with David Haggstrom. Have a wonderful, blessed night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.